So Revelations 13 is an interesting one, isn't it? There is this beast that is talked about that comes out of the sea, imitating the Lamb. Right? It has this 10 horns that all power and strength and dominion, right? Claiming it at least. With 10 diadems on its horns, 7 heads, this perfect number. So it has the appearance of something good, but not at the same time. It's given a shape and a substance that echoes the book of Ecclesiastes. Ezekiel, the other E. Ezekiel, Daniel's vision, right, of the end times. And there's 4 different beasts. One looks like a leopard, one looks like a bear, one looks like a lion. Here, these have been combined into one vision, saying one is given all this authority. And it has a mortal wound in one of its heads. The others are still living, right? It didn't completely die, unlike the lamb. It's an imitation of the lamb. It's deception in that it looks like it has a mighty mortal wound in one of its heads and appears to recover. And because of that, people give honor and worship to this beast. Say, look how great it is. Now, do you know of anyone else who's been in pop culture, for example, worshipped and people go, oh, this person's alive again? It's both easier and more difficult now with social media because you have AI stuff imitating, right?
Oh,
Elvis. You had impersonators showing up going, look, Elvis is still alive. Yeah, that's more of a pop culture reference. Do you know that in ancient Rome, Nero, the Emperor Nero, he killed himself, but people kept seeing him. There were actually Nero impersonators who would appear and pretend they were Emperor Nero, and the word just kept going around, oh, well, he didn't really die, he's still alive. And this guy was terrifying, right? He was both very popular and awful. And he had persecuted the church immensely, killed lots of Christians, put them through the games, had them torn apart. And in Roman culture, you had to give obeisance, give honor and worship to this guy who claimed divinity for himself. So they said, okay, he didn't really die, he's still alive, he must really have been God. And so many did give homage and worship to this guy. At the time of the writing of Revelation of John, Nero had died, but this was a story going around that they could look to and go, oh, this is happening somewhere. And if you wanted to transact any business in Roman society, you were supposed to give acknowledgement to the emperor if you wanted to have your shop, or if you wanted to have standing in society. Right? And it says there's others who come up. This is a nod to Isaiah saying there's miracles, there's signs that are performed. And one of them was that this second beast, the second figure comes, makes an image of the first one, and is able to give breath to it, give animation to it, so it looks like it's doing something. Looks like this beast is really there, but it's not. So that people would worship it. And it's in Isaiah, the reference from Isaiah is that there's those who worship idols are strange because they will cut firewood from the same tree that they carve an idol from and worship. And they use the firewood in their fire to cook their food. And they worship this image that they themselves have carved out of wood and say, look, this is my God. And he's saying this is the same type of thing. But there's many even now, and you can think of historical figures who have done this, right? Dictators who have said, if you want to have any standing in society, you will worship me and you will acknowledge me as your Lord. That's this blasphemous names and titles. Who have taken for themselves the honor and glory that belongs to God. And said, if you want to function, you will worship me. And you will give me acknowledgement first. Before God, before anything else, I need your worship. Even now, you can think of dictators around the world who function this way. There are many through history who have done the same. Who say, you give me glory, and I'll see you carry through. You tell the truth and don't give me glory, you're done. You don't get to keep having your company. You don't get to keep having your store. You don't get to keep having your whatever it is you do. You're done. You have a place in government, you're done. Many lose their lives, right? This is how dictators function. Those emperors like Nero who took power to themselves and said, this is right. And they misuse power and redirect from God who deserves it to themselves. And this is the warning that we're getting here. It's not, I know in popular fiction you've got the Left Behind series, right? You've got other stories saying it's a literal person that you're going to see, and it's going to be tattooed numbers on your forehead and on your hand, or electronic chips. Who knows, maybe. But the more clear likelihood from this text is that it's saying that this will be someone like Nero. People like Nero who will take honor and glory to themselves is going to be an ongoing problem through history and the history of God's people. Because these visions are cyclical. And we see ways in which they had already been fulfilled and were being fulfilled again. Over and over through history. This wasn't just one time. And different people have lived this out, saying, I deserve honor and glory and praise, not God. And it says, many of the faithful were deceived. So yes, these bring destruction, but notice they look like the Lamb in appearance, in terms of their power and their glory. And they're deceived. The appearance of being like the Lamb and having been slain and maybe living. There's those who spring up, as Jesus said, claiming to be him, and yet are not. And you can tell by the fruit of their works and their words. This says that it has the appearance of great power and authority, but they had the appearance, let me look at the second one here. It had two horns like a lamb, and spoke like the dragon. Who's the dragon in this picture? That's more from chapter 12. The dragon is Satan, the one who fell from heaven. An angel of light. Lucifer, right? This one of great beauty, who is good at his main tool against the church's deception. Deceiving the faithful into worshiping him rather than God. And yes, we're given images of beasts here to show the inside. I don't think that these ones who come are necessarily looking like beasts on the outside. But by their fruit they will be known. We are to test prophets. We are to test miracle workers by who they are pointing to. Are they pointing to God? Or are they pointing to themselves or to another figure as worthy of worship? Very often, these people who are out there doing signs and wonders are doing it for themselves, really, not for God, not for God's glory. So how do we get around these times of deception, get through these periods of persecution? Is this church that was being addressed, these churches, I should say, that were being addressed at the time of the revelation to John, were under persecution. And it says here that through history, this is not going to change. We are going to be going through times of persecution. We are to know how to recognize the truth. How? By continually knowing and recognizing who is truth. The more we spend time in worship, the more we spend time in Scripture, and ask God for revelation, ask for the Holy Spirit to show us the truth. Learn to recognize who the Lamb really is, who God really is. Then we learn to recognize what isn't Him. And these times of worship, how is the beast defeated finally? Through endurance, faithfulness, and through praise of the Lamb and of God, the Creator, not the Destroyer. Worshipping the one who is worthy, worshipping the truth. Even though, yes, those who speak for truth will face difficult times. They have in the past, right? They will continue to do so now. If we speak for truth, we are likely to face ostracization, to have consequences. But we need to speak for truth and stand up for what is right. I was reminded, looking at this, of the story of David and Goliath. That didn't show up in any of my commentaries, by the way. That was just my connection to the text when I was reading this, they're saying, who is like the beast? No one else can stand up to the beast. Who is like the beast? And we know from having just seen it a few chapters earlier, there is none like the Lamb. But people on earth were being deceived and saying, no one can stand up to the beast. Right? The Lamb can stand up to the beast. You remember this history tale of David and Goliath? We need Sunday school kids here. I think they're all off there. To answer this question, remember when Goliath showed up, everyone was terrified. They said, there's no one like Goliath. There's no way we can survive. Goliath gets up there and goes, okay, if anyone can defeat me, they're doing this champions battle, right? Instead of having the armies meet each other. No one can defeat me. So if you can defeat me, you can take over. But your God is not worthy. My God is stronger. Your God can't do anything. Your God can't support you through battle. And everyone in the Israelite camp was terrified. They said, no way. Who's like Goliath? There's no way any of us can fight him. No one person can fight him. Even this army can't fight him. He's too big. Those swords, his sword is terrifying. His spear is terrifying. His shield is bigger than a man. No way can we combat that. And then David comes up, this impudent shepherd boy, teen, who's been taking care of the sheep rather than on the battlefront. Praising God, learning to fight by taking on bears and lions. Says, why are you guys afraid? Why are you terrified? And they go, can't you see? Don't you have eyes? This guy's huge. He's terrifying. There's no one who can combat this. He says, I'll do it. The king tries to load him down with the weapons that they were used to using, which were good. Good armor, good sword, good helmet. And he says, no, I can't use this. I'm not used to using it. I can't fight in this. I don't know how to fight using this. I'm going to use my words. I'm going to use this little sling that I have, which, by the way, is a very scary weapon. If you've seen slingers, even history of slingers in battle, it's like their version of a rifleman, right? You got someone throwing rocks that travel like bullets through the air. But still, this guy was armored, completely covered. What's a sling wielder going to do? And David comes out, not clad in armor that was visible, right? I'll read it here. The Philistine said to David, "Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks?" And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. The Philistine said to David, "Come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field." Then David said to the Philistine, "You come to me with a sword and with a spear and with a javelin. But I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and I will strike you down and cut off your head." A different version here. "And I will give the dead bodies of the hosts of the Philistine this day to the birds of the air and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel, and that all this assembly may know that the Lord saves not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hand." So what did David really bring to the fight? His confidence in the power of God, and his confidence that the Lord was stronger than this Philistine, and that because he trusted in God, he would defeat this Philistine. What we get from that is, and from these reminders in Revelation, that the worship of God is the main thing. That we defeat the enemy not through swords and battle, but through the battle of worship, of giving glory to the one who deserves it. By coming together and singing praises to God, by coming and bringing our prayers to God, because we know that God is powerful and able to answer. And we come and give glory to the one who deserves it. And we bring our requests to the Lord, our petitions to the Lord. He says he is the one who can answer. And when we are following after him, he will answer. Right? He says, "When you do as I command, I will give you anything that you ask in my name." There is a clause there. When you do what I'm asking you to do, when you're giving me your worship and your praise, when you're following after me, when you're loving one another, when you're speaking the truth, I will answer your prayers. I will help you endure through these difficult times. And that text from John, Jesus, the Lamb who was slain, says, now is the judgment of the world. Now is the ruler of this world cast out. This beast has already been defeated, just doesn't know it yet. The ruler of this world, the dragon, has already been defeated. He keeps fighting like he hasn't been, but he's already been defeated on the cross. And we are called to follow this one who has conquered not through armies, but through love, through giving himself in sacrifice for our sake, that we may have life, that the world may have life. And this thing about we'll talk about it more next week as we close out our time in Revelation.